Yes, right now I'm in a relationship and I left for 6 months. Yeah, so I'm in a long distance relationship, which is like a weird faux word because how can you really have any kind of relationship when you're 8,000 miles apart? It's like basically just like a really close friendship at that point because it's like yeah, like what if you compare the text logs of two people in a long distance relationship and two best friends, apart from probably some sexting, like what is the difference? There's basically no difference. And so it's a little strange. Absolutely, but I think more so probably for her than for me. Just because I don't know, everything's interesting and fresh and new here, but like of everything I've experienced here, of everything I've done, what remains crystal clear to me is that she is basically the only person who I have a choice whether or not is in my life. That there's like, it's just really not enough words to describe what I'm trying to say. Like, there's no one else that I would rather be in a relationship with and have at my side in basically any situation. I don't know. She has this impression. I would say at least on an appearance-based level, she is definitely the. Are you familiar with the concept of the reacher and the settler? She's the settler. She's way more attractive than I am, but I feel like in many other ways she is also the settler. So I guess that's something that is kind of scary. Thinking about that and being like, oh fuck. She could just be like, yeah, no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore. But I don't know. I have to believe at the essence of my being that isn't going to happen, because otherwise then I would have to deal with the reality of that not being true, and that would be terrifying. And we're in a weird limbo state right now because she's not here and I'm here and she's there, and so we're separate, and I can't look at her in the eyes and be like, what are you thinking? I don't know. You ever just do that with people? You're kind of like, if you're like, oh, hot dogs, man, and you look at them and they have this like kind of sour look on their face because they're vegetarian. You don't really have that in a long distance relationship, and so you get stuck in this weird limbo of not understanding really what's going on with the other person.
So is your fear of maybe her outgrowing you more a hypothetical fear, or is it a genuine fear that you think might happen?
That's a good question. Being as far apart as we are is just a massive strain, and having that strain present adds a certain level of unpredictability to things that can make you uncomfortable. And I would say that I can't really determine how much of a threat like her breaking up with me is, if that makes any sense. Like, I can't. That's the big problem. You, as much as you can try and be there, as much as we have technology and stuff like that, you cannot be there, and so you can't have insight into these things. And so that's what's really scary. Is you can talk to them, you can try and get every piece of information out of you, but if they have that doubt and they don't want to tell you, they're not going to tell you. Though I guess sort of the comforting thing is that's really always there, isn't it? Like, at any point, in any time, anybody can decide to just go, oh, I don't want to be in a relationship anymore. I don't want to be your parent anymore. I don't want to do this. Like, anyone can do that at any time. So if you think about how truly terrifying and terrible the world is, it makes you feel a lot better, because you realize you're pretty much just as fucked as everyone else. But it doesn't matter how good you think your relationship is, long distance will ruin it. It's kind of like if your relationship's a person, it's like cutting the legs off of that person. If you're going from having legs to having no legs, you're going to have a lot of issues. Because that's a huge fucking transition, and all of a sudden you don't have the maneuverability, and you don't have what you thought you had. And you have to come to terms with that. And then you have to go back if you end it from being a long distance relationship into a short term relationship. So I'm kind of terrified what happens when I see her again, because last time I didn't see her for a long period of time, I forgot what her face looked like. Like, you can see someone in a photograph and they look a certain way, but when you see another human being in real life, there's no distortion, there's no pixels, there's no definition, it's just what it is. And so I think that's going to be really, really, probably really positive, but I feel like also really, really overwhelming.
So I suppose that's one last question. If you were to go back and things ended, do you think you'd regret your time in Germany, or would you look at it as still a positive thing?
I mean, like, I guess I would, probably on some level. And in the short term, I think it would definitely be negative. But I don't know, this is the problem. I'm just such a fucking middle person. I'm such a middle ground person, and I can see it both ways. It would be a horrible, horrible experience. It would be terrible, but at the same time, I wouldn't take this back. I think this is really important to me becoming who I am, is having this time away from home and, you know, learning the language, meeting the people. I don't regret meeting any of you. Y'all are great. I think I've had too many yummy burgers. I'm gonna cry now.